All right, guys. Well, welcome back. James Schuler coming live from Center's outdoor office. Y'all may not have taken a visit of this facility yet. This is where we spend our beautiful afternoons in Houston in Sam Hickey's backyard. Y'all might remember Sam. For those of y'all who've already taken this tour with us through, I guess, the steak event to the barbecue event, y'all heard Creekstone Outdoor Living mentioned a couple of times. You've even seen that venue where we ended up showing you how to cook those steaks, and all that's Sam's place. So Sam, thanks for having us in your backyard here.
Thanks for coming.
Oh, anytime.
Yeah.
It's been wonderful. Part of Sam's world is barbecue accessories, and that's all I knew him for. But now I'm learning that he also does pools and backyard build outs, and I'm a little jealous about what I'm seeing here today. So I might have to upgrade mine. You do a lot of backyards?
Just a few.
A few of
Yeah.
them? All over Texas, all over Houston?
Greater Houston area at this time.
And is it normally a pool that you're doing, or is it typically just a backyard pit master's perfect kitchen?
We do everything from a simple outdoor kitchen to patio cover combos with pools, full master plan backyard.
Sure. I think I'm going to need to get covering. My backyard faces the sunset, and it's killing me when I have to barbecue. I have an umbrella.
Yeah, you're going to need
Pretty
something.
weak.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty weak. Well, guys, we're going to do a little bit of cooking in Sam's backyard. We have two different things happening behind me. One, we're going to smoke a turkey on my left. We're going to fry a turkey here off to my right. Considering how cameras work, I might have just said that backwards. Maybe this is my right and this is my left. I can't ever remember. So either way, behind us, we're going to take care of both of those things. And the whole reason is the season has us thinking about how to prepare the right turkey meal for our family, right? It's Thanksgiving. So most everyone I know is going to do a smoked turkey or a fried turkey and spend some time in their backyard during this time of year. So for that reason, we're going to cram both cooks into one-hour session and talk about best practices along the way. So if you have intentions of taking that task on this year, get a pen and paper, take some notes. If you don't have intentions of doing that, get a beer, a glass of whiskey, and enjoy it with us. As we go through, of course, if you have questions, Taylor is going to be manning the chat line. So we want to hear whatever you have, whatever thoughts you want us to cover. We're going to do that. In the middle of all this, we're going to need the turkeys to rest. So during that time, Sam Allen with Cohesity and Steve with Cohesity are going to talk a little bit more tech than we normally do. Steve, you might remember from the Pinkertons event, he was live with me with Grant. That was a wonderful event. Thank you for being a part of that one.
Absolutely.
And now a part of this one.
Absolutely.
Now, as we get closer, it's fried turkeys that is your passion, right?
Fried turkeys, absolutely. Started with a competition with my grandmother about 15 years ago. Replaced the baked bird and the oven bird with a fried bird, and that's been the family tradition ever since.
The competing grandma?
Oh yeah, I had
like
to win.
that.
We win. That's it. We're out to win. But she long and short, she didn't believe in fried turkey. She thought it was sacrilege. I said, I'll fry one and you bake one and you let me know
We'll
what
see.
you want to do. And she never baked one again.
Sam and I are brothers from this one feeling that smoked turkeys are better than fried turkeys. And we only think that because those fried turkeys are better, just haven't had the right. So as we continue today, we're going to have to continue that competition spirit and figure out which one's right for us. So thanks again for being here. We're going to come back with you here shortly. I want to add one more item. It's important to me. Last time we gave away a big green egg. That was from Sam's Place, Creekstone Outdoor Living. Brian, one of our favorite customers, won that. Y'all delivered that 2 weeks ago?
Mm-hmm. We did.
Do you like it?
Sure he did.
That's good.
Nobody hadn't liked their egg.
That's good. This time we're going to do a little different. We got 5 $100 gift cards we want to give away. Each of those gift cards are going to go away to the first meetings that y'all book and the purpose of hearing about Cohesity's data protection program. So once Sam gets up here and has an opportunity to share a little bit deeper about what we're doing and what the vision is for Cohesity, we're hoping that you're going to wind up wanting to hear more about how it will impact your business. So the first 5 of you that chime in and want to meet with us, we're going to make sure you have $100 to spend at Creekstone Outdoors, which gives me a minute to talk about my favorite thing about your shop. And that's the man card. It sounds a little strange, but if you don't have your man card yet, you can get that at Creekstone Outdoor Living. The man card is the easiest way to tell your friends, family, and loved ones what you need for Christmas. So essentially you go in and pick out your top 10 favorite things that you need. And when someone says, what do I get you for your birthday or for Christmas? You just say, I don't know, call Sam. Sam will tell you. And he'll already have it in the computer ready for anyone that wants to buy for you. But that's not it. You give them a discount too?
Yeah, we're running a 10% discount through the holiday season. So anything listed on the man card gets 10% off normal pricing.
Awesome. So for anyone who books a meeting with us, $100, and don't forget you can establish your own man card and get 10% off whatever you need this holiday season. So where do we want to begin? Let's talk smoked. Is that all right?
Sounds good. Yeah.
All right, guys. So most people are going to go to the store, an HEB or a Kroger, Randall's, and they're going to pick up their turkey. Any tips or tricks on picking out a good turkey?
I mean,
It's a turkey.
I'd pick a fresh one at this point. We're getting pretty close to Thanksgiving. So picking out frozen turkeys, just make sure you have plenty of time to thaw it out.
Yeah, so when you're picking out a brisket or a rack of ribs even, you're going to want to select the right brisket or ribs based on what you're seeing through that shrink wrap. You're not going to have that chance on a turkey most of the time. Great advice, though, on not getting a frozen one this late in the season. It can take some time to thaw out a turkey. How long do you think it might take?
Upwards 3 days, depending on the size of the turkey.
There's actually a lot on the internet about this. You can use a water bath to thaw a turkey faster. I don't know if I trust it. If you want a turkey to thaw out in your refrigerator the right way, it could take 3 days. If you get a 24-pounder or bigger, it could take up to 5 days to thaw that turkey. So think about your current setup. If your turkey's currently in the freezer, be thinking about Sunday, Monday, you might want to pull that out or start thawing it. All right, so we got that turkey, and what was our first step that we really did with it?
So another reason to buy a fresh turkey, in my opinion, or thaw a turkey ahead of time is to get it in a brine.
What's a brine?
So a brine's a mixture of salt, spices, sugar. You'll put the turkey in there typically and keep it iced for about a day, 24 hours. That's just going to let that turkey take on a lot more moisture and some flavor, so you'll have a much more successful cook.
And I'm going to guess you probably have a favorite brine.
Yeah, Meat Church Bird Bath brine.
Is that this one?
It is.
So this one here is the one to get, guys. If you need a brine, those are what, about 12 bucks?
$14.99 for a bag. And you
10%
can,
off.
yeah, there you go. And you can use it on chicken as well as turkey.
Nice. And now the other option would be to inject the bird, right? If you didn't want to brine it, you can inject it. So is this a quicker process?
It is. Yeah. So you're not waiting 24 hours for that thing to brine and take that moisture in. You're essentially taking your injection and shooting it into the bird.
Is that a tougher process? Is it challenging to shoot a bird?
Not necessarily. You just want to get those juices primarily into the breast meat.
Sure.
You know, so you're going to move it around and try to get that injection in there as best you can.
It can be a challenge to shoot a bird when it's flying.
Yeah, that's true. Maybe.
But not when it's sitting here, right? Perfect. So then after that, we needed to season it, right?
Right.
And you chose.
So on our smoked bird, we're doing Meat Church Honey Hog. We melted some compound butter down, basted the bird with that to use as our binder for our rub. And then we just applied that Meat Church Honey Hog on the entire bird.
So you just mentioned a great one. I'm going to grab the other compound butter if you don't mind. This is a beautiful life lesson for those of y'all shopping at HEB. I don't know how quick a zoom in can occur. I could just show it here if it'd be easy. All right. So this little guy, if you haven't done it before, it's in the dairy section of your HEB. There's a number of different flavors. A jalapeno one, so a roasted herb one with garlic. These are amazing finishers on steaks,
right?
And they're great for melting down and using on a turkey to season it and baste it.
Right.
So love that you did that. Then we went ahead and got it on the pit. There's a whole bunch of schools of thought on how long it takes to smoke a turkey.
Yep.
Today we're going a little faster than I'm used to. Tell everybody about how we're cooking it.
Yeah, so Big Green Egg actually has a turkey cheat sheet. So if you go to Google and type in Big Green Egg turkey cheat sheet, it'll pop up. It'll be the first link. It'll give you a good guide for, you know, the length of time to smoke your turkey at 325 degrees. We're doing a smaller bird today. It's a little under 10 pounds. We're shooting for about 2 hours. And we've been cooking a little bit higher at about 350, and the bird's about to finish up.
So with that, why don't we go ahead and show the bird? Is a zoom in, Chris, possible on that just a little bit? So one of the things that a lot of newbies get they don't get this brown color. So if you haven't done a smoked bird before, there's a couple of little hints you can take along the way, some pro tips to make sure it turns this brown color. One of those is to wrap it in a cheesecloth. Believe it or not, this works great. You can continue to baste on top of that, and it'll slowly keep moisture on top of that bird. but it'll protect it from the harsh smoke hitting it, especially if you're cooking with mesquite. What you got charcoals in there now, right? Are those oak charcoals burnt down? Do you remember?
So Big Green Egg has an oak hickory mix out of the bag. If you're going to add some smoked chips or chunks, we'd recommend a fruit wood, apple, cherry, pecan. It's going to be a lot milder. Poultry, chicken, and turkey can obviously take on that smoke a lot more than red meat. So you just want to be careful and use a fruit wood.
And a lot of this, once your family's around you, is going to be about presentation. And presentation is always important to me. Look at me. So one of the things I like to do is find some creative ways to baste, or just some unique tools. So it's one thing to have a silicone brush to baste. I like to take the herbs that you might use traditionally on turkey and baste with them as a brush. So if you had your normal butter baste that you were going to use, this becomes what you're slapping that turkey with. It adds just a slight level of additional flavor and is a conversation starter with anyone who's curious about what you're doing and how you're doing it. More on that here probably in a minute. We need to get that bird in the fryer. We're going to run out of time.
Yep.
You want to pivot over there now?
Sure.
So we mentioned no one likes fried turkeys more than Steve. So I'm going to swap places a little bit with him.
I don't know about more than Steve. We love a fried and a smoked.
So let's start the same sequence. We picked out a turkey, but this might have been an easier setup to get it to the stage. You want to share a little bit how we got there?
And talk about the max size as far as, based on the typical average. Is this a 32 to 44 quart?
Yeah, this is going to be about 30 quart pot. The biggest thing I would like to point out when you're frying a turkey is I'd take that turkey while it's still in the plastic wrap, put it in the pot that you're going to fry it in, and top it off with water just above the turkey. Pull the turkey out and then look at the level of the water in the pot, and that's going to allow you to know the level of the oil that you need when you're frying that particular bird, so you won't have a boil over in a fire event.
Perfect. And so as far as next steps, you're going through the same process. I'm an injector. You're not necessarily wasting time on a brine with a turkey.
Right. So once you've got it done injecting or brining, just season it up with we use the Hardcore Carnivore fried turkey seasoning on this bird.
That's a brand new offering, by the way.
It is.
So we're jumping between Meat Church and Hardcore here. That's allowed, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Both available at Creek and Stone.
Perfect. So now as far as prep area, most of our customers aren't going to have a similar setup, right? They're going to be doing the fryer on the stand with propane.
Mm-hmm.
So talk about tips on setting up the prep area and making sure that you're not lighting your house on fire. Any horror stories that you're aware of?
Yeah, you want to be out in the open, not inside your garage. Even if it's inclement weather, you need to find a good open spot so you don't have some crazy fire event. So make sure you can walk around the pot. And you want to preheat that oil about 30 minutes or an hour ahead of time. You're shooting for about 350 to 375 to fry. You want to overshoot that temperature by 25 degrees or so, because when you dump that bird in there, it's going to take some of that heat and probably drop about 25 degrees.
And we've seen averages from 3.5, 4. You're at 350 for 3 minute cook.
Yeah, exactly.
You might say that again. 3 minutes per pound.
3 minutes per pound.
Per pound.
You see, recommendations from 3 to 4, depending on what the cook time is. But we average 350 degrees, 3 minutes per pound for our cooks as well.
Yeah.
Perfect.
So I think we're ready to dunk this bird.
Yep.
So actually open this off. And we'll just slowly dunk it in there. You just want to.
Oh, that sounds real nice.
There we go.
I can only imagine on the microphone how loud that probably sounds. Yeah, interesting how slow he's dropping that turkey in there, right? So since this one was a 9-pound turkey, we're expecting about a 27-minute prep or cook time.
27 minutes.
We got 2 timers. Perfect. Well done.
Yep.
So
Got it.
that is currently choppy waters, man. That is aggressive. So it's going to start boiling over potentially just by the splashes it makes. So even if you measure your oil out and you think your displacement's good, don't plan on it being near the rim. Dropping a cold turkey in there will cause a lot of bubbling and popping, which will easily bubble over. All right, what else on the fried turkey, guys? Anything else y'all want to talk about? We're good until we get back.
I mean, that's the beauty. It's simple, quick. The only thing we do is try to figure out what we're going to do now that we've got hot oil. So we'll throw in a bag of fried okra near the end of the cook.
Yeah.
We're big corn, beer battered corn on the cob.
Yeah.
Badass. We'll do some of the half cut, but definitely at the end of the cooker after we pull the bird.
So we're going to transition now between going from the fried turkey to Sam being here with us. Sam just walked away though.
Sam
Allen.
He must have had.
I think he had
fright.
stage fright. So
There he is.
Too. What a weird stage fright moment for Sam.
You want to pull the smoke?
Yeah, do you mind?
No.
Is tinted, but if you want to do your mic first, feel free. Whatever you think, whatever order's fine. All right, guys. So that's going to run. We said for 27 minutes. When we come back for the turkey portion of this, we're going to start looking at what it's like to slice and carve this turkey. Maybe nothing more intimidating to a new cook than try to slice a turkey for a big crowd. So we'll discuss that here momentarily. In the meantime, give us a little insight. Where is Cohesity seeing the most success today? How is business driving the fastest?
So as we talked last time, Cohesity is a data management platform. Fundamentally, it's a file system where there are a number of features that we expose the file system to for customers. So data protection, file services, cloud integration. But the biggest piece that we're seeing, and Sam, come on up, the biggest piece we're seeing is across all those workloads, how it's impacted from a security perspective. We've had a number of customers in the Houston area that have been impacted from a ransomware perspective. We've got zero ransom paid customers back up and running within hours of declaration of that disaster. But a big piece of that is kind of understanding what the building blocks are there. And Sam's wearing flip-flops today, so it's probably a good time to talk about not proper footwear with fried turkey. You probably wouldn't want want that, or maybe a good skin graft afterwards.
Yeah.
But last time we spoke, we hit pretty high level, and I think the feedback was, hey, can we dig a little bit deeper? And you don't want to hear it from someone on the sales side. You prefer to hear it from an engineer. Sure. So we asked Sam to kind of talk about the layers of security, how we impact that, and what we provide for customers.
Sure. Well, I'll try to provide better advice for security and data management than I did for frying turkeys. Definitely don't wear flip-flops for fried turkey, but do wear flip-flops if you're in the data management space. That's important. It's part of the gig. So yeah, Steve. So when I talk about security with Cohesity customers, I really try to focus on this idea, and I don't have any whiteboard here to reference, so I'll try to illustrate this verbally. But this idea of security in layers. So Cohesity takes a very much layered approach, and we've built this foundation in our data platform that is built off of a hardened Linux-based appliance, and that's really the fundamental aspect. You know, you're not going out and building off of 5 or 6 different vendor products. You know, you're not buying servers from one company, purchasing an OS from another, installing software with multiple roles, and then managing drivers and firmware and all the vulnerabilities and potential issues that can come from managing that whole interoperability matrix. We're providing this hardened Linux appliance. You've got one package that upgrades soup to nuts the appliance. On top of that, we built a proprietary file system called SpanFS. And what SpanFS does is it introduces a layer of immutability for your backup data, your file data, your object, anything really that you're hosting on the Cohesity platform. And that level of immutability, what it does is it ensures that once data is written, that it doesn't get overwritten. Right? We good?
You're doing great.
So immediately as the data is written, it's marked as read-only, and then subsequent writes, even if they're block overwrites, are written to free space in the file system. And so we're never overwriting data. Anytime we go back and access that data again for a second time, whether it's to do a restore or we're cloning, for test and dev, or even if Cohesity is just reading the data to do an index or catalog that data, we're always first cloning the data. So we're never really interacting with the data once it's written. It's marked read only and it's preserved.
Got it. Where do you see? And I know you've got a couple other layers as far as how we're protecting. Where are we seeing customers being hit? What's the most vulnerable part of their environment right now?
Right. That's really important. I mean, with products like Cohesity, we've been on the market for a few years now. The bad guys are starting to adapt, right? We've built a platform that's immutable. We can't overwrite data in place. You can't encrypt data in place. So the next layer of defense really needs to be around hardening the management UI. We do that in a couple of ways. The first and probably easiest to implement is by simply clicking on multi-factor authentication. And in our latest version, we're supporting Google Authenticator app, Microsoft Authenticator app, or something just as simple as an email with a security code, almost akin to logging into your bank account for the first time on a new computer. And they send you a code and you input that second credential. So it's the what you know, which is your username and password, combined with the what you have, which is your hardware token, using that to protect the management UI and prevent a compromised backup admin credential from simply logging in and just deleting all of the backups, right?
Sure,
it's incredibly important.
Integration with Duo, Okta.
Yeah. So
from that perspective.
Yeah, so for that next level, right, we also support, integration with those third-party identity providers, really anybody that supports the SAML v2 standard. So think your usual suspects like Ping, Okta, Duo, Azure AD. I'm sure Center can recommend
all provided by Center.
Yeah,
There you go.
a fantastic solution on that front. Yep.
And we see a lot of customers now when they move forward with our product, they're actually going forward with the Okta purchase or Duo, et cetera. So the Center team can definitely advise you guys on what they feel the best is.
Yes, sir.
From that perspective. So now we've got multi-factor authentication. We've locked it down from a role-based access perspective. Yeah. What are we doing to be more aware of what's happening in the environment and what's touching it, interacting with it, and what those implications are storage-wise?
Definitely. So on top of immutability, on top of multi-factor, kind of the next level of immutability is a feature called data lock. We use that. It's optionally enabled to protect against an insider threat. So I think maybe a rogue admin, backup admin who decides that as their last manifesto to the company, they're going to walk out the door, right, inject ransomware and delete all the backups so there's no recovery point. So data lock really is kind of that ultimate in immutability. Once data lock is applied, it prevents even a legitimately credentialed backup admin with root, with MFA, prevents that guy from deleting. And then I think what you're alluding to, Steve, is the ability to kind of monitor all of it, right? So now you've got all this layers and layers of protection in place. Even with that, you're still gonna be opportunities for ransomware to attack your VMs, to attack your databases, any of the other soft targets in the environment that Cohesity is aware of that we're backing up. And so we're layering a management and a monitoring layer on top of all of that, so that we're taking telemetry as we back that data up, those VMs, those files, those databases, and we're looking for change that could be indicative of ransomware. So things like an increase in the amount of data written on day, the amount of data deleted, a mass deletion type attack, or even the random of a given data set, which is also called entropy. So monitoring all of that, building a graph, and then flagging anomalies and alerting admins.
Okay, now they've seen an anomaly. How do they take action on it?
Yeah.
And is that something we might see maybe later today if they want to hang on?
Definitely. So this is something I'd love to demo. I think maybe there'll be an opportunity at the end if you guys want to stick around. If anybody sticks around, I'd be happy to show this, or we can do a follow-up call. But the last piece of that pyramid, if you would, is the ability to respond. So we've protected the backups. We've created this data vault of sorts. We've notified you that you have ransomware in your environment. We've detected it. We're going to provide you quickly the last known good backup so that you can immediately begin recovering your data. You don't spend a ton of time sifting through, an attack that maybe propagated over 7 days to find 14 different good recovery points across the environment, you immediately go straight to the last known good and begin bringing your business back online.
Hey, Sam, Taylor showed me the backside of the operation. I'm seeing the producer's screen, which is kind of fun. But we got a question about making sure that you don't miss out on discussing like cloud backup and what Cohesity does for cloud-based operations.
Absolutely. That's a great question. I think a great segue, because we work with some fantastic cloud partners. We partner up with the usual suspects in the public cloud, but we also have a very tight partnership with Center Technologies, who delivers Cohesity backup and data protection as a service, and then operates as a service provider, hosting Cohesity equipment, Cohesity data platform in the cloud, and can deliver that to you, the customer, as a turnkey service.
And what about on-prem versus software-based, SaaS-based solutions? Is what we're offering there as well.
Yeah. So I always say this. If anybody's seen me present, they'll probably recognize this. But Steve and I are actually working on an AS400 backup opportunity in town right now as we speak. Right. That's a true story. So anything from AS400 mainframe to SQL to Oracle to Hadoop to VMware to Acropolis to O365 to Cloud VMs, we back it all up. So we're pretty much a full service backup product, data protection product, and there aren't that many workloads I can think of offhand that would be kind of out of scope.
Perfect. So we got a couple minutes left.
Absolutely. I had a follow-up question to the
Sure.
cloud question. Is it a bad time? Or
No,
should
go
I jump
ahead.
in?
Go ahead.
So you did a great job of plugging Center's Cloud. That's great. But we have a number of clients that we support through Azure and even AWS. So can you dive a little further into what that world looks like? If I have workloads there, can Cohesity still help me? And then you mentioned SaaS applications. Touch on what y'all do too for 365 specifically.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I'll try to keep myself out of the compliance spotlight, right? And I won't talk about any futures. But what we do today in terms of cloud backup is we work tightly with AWS and Azure both. We protect Azure VMs, we protect AWS VMs, we protect AWS RDS, so relational database service, as well as the full Office 365 suite. And that list is growing day by day. There'll be other SaaS products and other platforms included in the near future.
Perfect. Anything else on that, James?
Oh, just this awesome thing that Teams is currently reporting global issues with choppiness in their product. Apparently, we're experiencing.
Perfect.
Yeah.
So every other word.
Sam looks all choppy up there.
Perfect. Can you hear him okay? Just the video's choppy?
I don't know. Just keep going.
Yep.
What else can you do? But the show must go on.
Yeah. So probably the last piece, everybody's asking about air gap. So if we could go quick about how we provide that to customers.
Yeah, air gap has been a big topic lately for obvious reasons. I think one of the things that Cohesity does that's unique, kind of tying back to the conversation earlier around immutability and data lock, is the ability to create what I would refer to as a logical air gap, where we leverage immutability and compliance built into the product to be able to write data and ensure that nobody can overwrite it. Not even root on the box can overwrite. So you can kind of think of that without a physical second copy as being a quote unquote logical air gap, right? And for a lot of our customers, that's enough. But if you are interested in a traditional air gap, which usually means a second copy of the data, whether it's on tape, stored in the cloud, or on a second Cohesity appliance, right? Either hosted by Center, hosted in the cloud, hosted in your personal data center. Those are all options as well. I have a nice white paper that talks about an approach to an air gap. Happy to send it out.
We've seen one that's perfect. We've seen in a recent example in the Midwest, but we also have a number of customers that we talk with that think snaps are a great protection for their SAN, right? And we've seen that theory be exposed recently. So talk about maybe our integration from that perspective, why it's a good idea for us to help manage some of that data, especially from a security perspective.
Yeah, no, it's a good point. I think snapshots can be considered a recovery point. That certainly they are. That's not. I'm not going out on a limb by making that statement. But are they considered a backup? Probably not, right? I think the common accepted best practice to creating a legit backup for an enterprise is to follow the 3-2-1 rule. You want to have at least 3 copies of your data. You want to have those copies stored on at least 2 separate kind of independent storage platforms, right? And so snapshot-based backups exclusively would kind of violate that principle. And then the one is 1 copy offsite. So 3-2-1. If you're following that, I think you're building an enterprise, style backup, right? And we can definitely get into the nuance there, but I think that excludes snapshot only as a backup, a viable backup.
Perfect.
Sometimes I get those pop-ups on my computer, click on them, you know what I mean? One of them was like 3-2-1's out of date. So I was like, what's the new thing?
Yeah.
It was 3-2-1-1.
Yes, sure.
There was
yes.
2 1s at the end. That's
Yes.
a whole new thing to me.
Yeah.
They meant one
Yeah.
completely offline copy.
Yeah,
But
definitely.
that just
You
made
can
me laugh.
always improve on it, right?
Right.
At a bare minimum.
Wait till
Yeah.
someone comes out with 6
Yeah.
minute abs.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
What
That's
about
cool.
5-minute apps?
Right.
No, that's crazy. You could never have 5-minute ads. So.
All right. well,
Any other questions from online?
did I miss any? Awesome. Taylor says no. So I think you
Getting-
knocked it out. So guys, here, I want to repeat that. I know we're having some choppiness issues, but for anyone who wants to look at the product, kind of see it in action and get a view of it, we're going to keep Sam around for 30 minutes from the time we're done here with the turkey, whether that's 4:45 or 5:30, whatever time that is, Sam's going to jump in and start talking about the product. So if you want to stick around and ask more questions and get to see it now, feel free to stick around. Otherwise, my offer stays true. If you want to book a meeting so we can apply this technology to your business, we'll supply you with a $100 gift card to Creekstone Outdoor Living. Creekstone Outdoor Living. Sorry, Sam.
There you go. Get your man card.
Get your man card. That's right. Good,
I've got
good
mine.
tagline. So, Sam,
Yes,
thanks
sir.
for going.
Thank you.
We're going to start looking at this turkey. I think we're down to 10 minutes on that other turkey. 9.5 minutes, right about 10 minutes left. And it's still boiling pretty heavy, looking strong. So we're going to move to the aerial cam. The old aerial cam. Are we on? All right, guys. So once your turkey is done, it's going to look real nice. Sometimes the skin will look like it's still got some softness to it. Other times it's going to look pretty crisp, and that's fine either way. I'm going to bring it back here in just a second. I'm a big fan of the cutting board having some butter on it or oil on it. That's a waste. Yeah, we're not eating that. But the idea is as you're going to slice this turkey, this bird's going to get cut up, it's going to land back in the seasoning that you choose. So you're going to have that there. Now, some of y'all might be noticing this big ball sticking out. I'm going to work on how I'm going to get that out of there. This is a unique thing. You can put a lot of different things in the cavity of a turkey when you cook it. Some people have chosen to put a salt egg in the cavity of their turkey. And Sam sells these salt eggs. Sam, are you on again? Is your mic working?
I am live.
Talk to us about what this is and why we would do it.
Well, it's a Himalayan salt egg, so it's going to help retain temperature. You actually preheat that in your grill prior to inserting it into the turkey. They make a smaller one for chicken as well, and it's just going to help with the seasoning on the turkey as it cooks.
All right, so if I need on my man card that egg, I can get an egg
Absolutely.
from you. Perfect.
Is it a multi?
Yep. Once
What do you-
you're done cooking with it, wash it off, rinse it off, and put it back in the storage container for the next cook.
Okay.
I was going to ask you to clarify what other uses would you have other than meat?
No, I'm just saying, like,
No, it's a good question,
When,
actually.
when you
Use
hear
it twice.
salt egg, you
Right.
think, okay, is this is something that if you're using for seasoning, it wouldn't last for
Right.
a ton of cooks, right?
So, guys, when we're going to carve this turkey, you can use one of 2 types of knives. You can use a blade, normal blade like you're used to using every day in the kitchen. Something that's like 13 inches long that you might cut a brisket with. Something smaller is fine too. Any straight edge blade's fine. Or you might choose to use an electric knife. That's also fine. Behind this knife? Well, everyone should have a knife that has a story, I think. So this knife does have a small story. It's pretty minor, but the guy who makes all my knives is out of Bowie, Texas. He is the principal at Bowie High School, and his passion is mine's barbecue. His is blades and knife making. So this is a reclaimed piece of steel from an old plow blade that he's turned into a knife and a second life for that metal, that steel. And then this is a curly maple wood handle that he makes all his handles out of. You can find him on Instagram at Sergio Menchaca if you're really into a knife. Yeah. All right. So 2 things you're going to want to make sure you don't mess up in this bird. The first thing is you're going to want the legs, right? Everybody likes a turkey leg. The other thing is you're going to want the turkey breast to be just right for how you want that presentation to look on the platter. So we're going to first talk about removing the legs and dissecting the cavity some before we get into the breast. So one big mistake I see is that people jump right into carving straight into the breast. And I want you to wait on that for a minute. So first, we're going to start to separate the leg and the thigh joints. And so when you start to open it up, I think you can see on the aerial camera, the joints will start to appear. And as they do, you don't need much of a knife for it to cut off. It'll cut real easy. So I'll show the other side again. We'll open it. We'll find the joint. And then as we find that joint, it should cut rather easy. This thigh meat's really good too. It's all dark meat down here. You're going to find good use for it. Depending on who you're serving, they may not enjoy that, but most people will enjoy this just fine. Usually you'll serve this just kind of pulled from the bone. You don't necessarily have to cut it and serve it on the bone like you might this. So you know why there's dark meat and white meat and bird?
Why?
You know for real?
No.
Yeah. Well, it's about what muscles the bird uses and doesn't use. So a turkey, although it can fly, rarely flies. If you think about a dove, if you've ever gone dove hunting and you clean dove, the breast meat's all dark meat. It's because blood flows through that area far more frequently as they're flapping their wings all the time. Show me how they flap their wings.
You learn something every day.
But if you eat a quail meat or chicken, the breast meat is light, but the legs are dark. It's kind of a backwards world there. All right, so we'll keep
I was
diving
really
in.
hoping you had
A joke?
A joke.
I can tell by the way that Sam answered that. He thought I thought I did.
He was waiting.
I'm gonna
You thought I
let
had
you
a
lead into
joke.
that.
Yeah. Whatever you got, James. Whatever joke it is, it's fine. All right. So now that we're taking these, the rest of these legs off, Taylor, keep me honest on time. We're good on time? On the, the fried turkey? Incredible how hot this still is.
Oh, no.
All right. So the 2 thighs are there. And now we're left with more of the front part of the bird. So instead of what you see often in movies, the shaving of the meat, I like to do it where it's cut into medallions.
Yeah.
So there's no objection to that. So you're going to find the breastplate, which is going to run right down the middle of the bird, right? And on either side of that, you just want to cut a straight line down until you hit the wishbone. At the wishbone, you're going to want to go under it, and you're going to want to find wherever you can to take the breast meat off as one full tenderloin almost. So once that comes out, you should experience just like that. You'll notice you'll often leave a little bit to be pulled. That's fine. You can always pull that. Taylor, we good on questions? Yeah. Perfect. Okay, I'll get the other side. Sam, I think we should have let this chill another 10 minutes. My goodness. All right, so now you have your 2 breasts there. The cavity's still good. You got a lot of good meat on it, but for the sake of the presentation, you want to grab that pan? The one on your way? I'm going to get this just out of the way. I'll set it here, Sean. Thank you. And for serving, I would recommend you simply cut slices like this. And if you can keep the skin intact, all the better. Sometimes it won't, and that's okay.
Sam, are you electric knife? Or are you?
I actually use a knife just like James is using. But a good electric is handy for sure.
You will want to set that down onto that platter where that just kind of sits up like that so that your guests can come by and grab some. And don't be scared if you really have a good base mix to hit it one more time as it rests and sits there. That's fine. So that's about the extent of what I would see as a teardown on a bird this size. I think you'd want these legs visible and out there as part of your presentation. You'd want the breast out. All your dark meat can sit underneath. You can pull it off the bone or leave it on the bone. And then anyone who wants to come by and pick from this, they can. The next thing that you're probably going to want to do is find and locate your wishbone. And typically that's going to be something you're going to want to look for. You can even do this when it's a raw bird before you cook, and you can separate the wishbone in advance. Now, this is commonly broken, so I'll probably break it too. So as we cut through some of that extra meat and find the wishbone, you're going to just want to separate it and then set it out to dry. If you haven't ever gotten to crack a wishbone, you haven't lived. Most kids look forward to Thanksgiving just for that, right? And you'll take this skin or this turkey meat off that wishbone and get it to a point where it can sit out and dry off. The other thing is called the oyster, and this is on this side. This is a little secret, so make sure I get this one right. Might be hard to believe, but some of the best meat in that turkey sits directly on the back side of that bird, kind of in the small of the back, right where I'm pointing here. And as that sheds off, it's not going to be a big piece of meat, but that'll be some of the most tender meat. And I would recommend having that either in a reachable spot in the middle of the presentation, or if somebody's out here helping you cook the whole day, you might offer that to them. So, Taylor, you want a bite? No? I'll come back later. She said come later. So that's everything, guys. If you get the oyster out, get that wishbone out, and break your bird down just like that, you'll be in healthy shape. So with that, we should be close on this bird, right?
We are. We're getting close.
You want to do a temp check on it? You want to use your instant read on, is that, I mean,
Yeah.
pull it up and poke it?
Yeah, no, I wouldn't do that. Not recommended.
I don't think so, James.
We kind of skipped over that on the smoked turkey. One point I would make is you want to pull that about 5 to 10 degrees before 165. So between 155 and 160, and then as it rests, it'll carry over to 165, which is the recommended done temp.
Good advice.
So the other thing I'd recommend when you're pulling your bird
Our
out of
time just hit.
the grease would be to cut the fire first. That's just a little safety trick. I'm going to. James, you want me to go ahead and pull it?
If it's ready, you can do so. I'll
Yeah,
make
we're
room
good.
for you. I thought maybe I had 2 more minutes. No?
Yeah,
we're good.
we can go a couple minutes if you need time.
No. Whatever y'all are ready for. I'll clean the spot real fast. Huh? We're ready.
You want a pan for it?
I think we can, well, maybe the bigger one,
I've got one.
just to make it easy.
So there's definitely a wrong way to pull a turkey out of this, right? Everything you've done so far has been slow. Drop it in, Sam. Is that right? Drop it in slow, pull it out slow.
I would recommend that.
I'm going to guess that turkey's going to need to rest for a minute.
We might kick to a demo while we let it cool,
That's fine.
if you want to. I mean, if that, or schedule for later. Because we will not be cutting this anytime soon. There we go.
So Taylor, maybe could you poll the crowd and see if there are people that want to stick around part of that? Then we'll know what our audience looks like.
That's a beautiful fried turkey.
Are we back on that aerial cam?
Slide.
Good. Excellent. Taylor, we good on questions? Awesome. So we'll notice a few things on the fried turkey. One, that skin should be a little more taut. It's going to be pulled a bit more than the smoked turkey. That's pretty consistent, I'd say, every time. Sam, anything you want to add on the finished product?
Now, sometimes it'll look real dark, almost a burned look, but typically that's just going to be a nice crisp skin. And most people that like fried turkey, that's really what they like.
That's what they're aiming for, right?
Yep.
That means you did a good job.
Absolutely. So don't be worried if it looks burned.
All right, so let's talk about that comment one more time, because of all my friends that do a turkey and they prepare it for their family, smoked or fried, it comes out black and their heart sinks. They think they messed up one of the biggest events of the year. There's a good chance the meat inside that turkey is still perfect. So most everybody's going to look at it and go, oh no, what happened? Or hey, it looks fine. Don't worry about it. But once they cut into it, it's likely still a really good product. So don't get too worried about that. Have you ever seen that movie, National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation?
Oh, yeah.
So turkeys can go bad. It is possible for them to go bad, but it's a very forgiving bird in comparison to some other poultry. So don't be too intimidated by it. I liken it to a pork butt that you can make some mistakes on it. Your temp can spike, your temp can lull, and you can just slow cook it. It's going to be fine. Whatever you do, make sure that you don't overpower it with your basting fluids. You don't want to hammer it with apple cider vinegar. You don't want to hammer it with strong flavors. Maybe even Worcestershire sauce might be too strong for smoking a bird. Let it cook on its own and hit it hard with the seasoning.
Phil's got a question about tying the turkey with twine.
Tying my turkey with twine?
Yeah.
That's a tough thing to say. He wants to talk about tying my turkey with twine?
Red turkey legs with twine because they don't look like they died. Their legs up in the air.
So he's up in the air, right? So the last one that we had, the smoked one, those legs were together. When you're frying a turkey, it's a bit different. Do you open that up always?
I have usually.
Just usually do?
Yeah.
Yeah, so Bill, you're onto something. When you get that turkey, you know what we probably didn't talk about? If you're a novice at its earliest levels, there's going to be a neck inside the cavity of that bird. You're going to want to remove those giblets out and not cook it with those in there. Hollow out that cavity. And along the way, can we go back to the aerial camera? Along the way, might be a little warm. This little hole here is where those legs are typically going to be tucked under by this piece of skin. And that spot right there is what Bill's talking about tying it down. If that's not there and you want to tie it down, twine's a great way to go. In fact, I've been around here long enough to know Sam's got a ball of twine. So cooking twine looks just like this. I don't know if we're on the aerial camera or not. Any grade of cooking twine will hold turkey legs together just fine. No need to buy anything unique or special. Any other questions? I know earlier someone asked about the
smoked. I've seen twine on the smoked, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you're going to do a longer smoke, not a quick smoke, so you don't want to hurt the legs, but the way that you cooked it as quick as the big green egg did, there was really no reason.
The other thing you can do to protect these little wings is tuck them
Right.
under.
Right.
That's an option. I'll tell you one more thing. This bird cooked, the smoked bird cooked on its back. The fried bird cooked what? I guess breast meat down.
Yep.
There's other ways to cook a turkey that'll turn out the same following these exact same steps. One great example is you can put a whole beer can in here and stand it right up on your smoker and cook it, called a beer can turkey, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's absolutely fine. It's a great way to do it. There's really no wrong beer that you could use. I will tell you though, I used a chocolate stout once. It tasted just like a stout beer. It was a bit of a miss. But any other beer, Bach, light will work fine for that.
Yeah.
The other idea is called spatchcock. And if you haven't done a spatchcock before, pretty lengthy process at the beginning, but you would, I'm gonna pull this, carve out the backbone, the vertebrae, and let out where the breast meat is in the inside and the legs are on the outside. And that's a good way to protect the breast meat from the harsh smoke and the heat. And it kind of sacrifices the dark meat and legs to what might be coming around, say in an egg, the heat plate, or if you're on an offset smoker where that heat source is, it's pushing the heat through. Great way to cook a chicken too with a spatchcock model. I do that for fajita meat. One day we need to do a big fajita conversation, but until then, try a spatchcock on a turkey or a chicken, and I'm sure you'll enjoy it.
How much does spatchcock affect cook time?
You can typically get a higher temperature and get that or the cook time down a little bit.
Yeah.
So you could probably, cut it, go up to 450, 425 and cook that faster.
I want y'all to hear what he's saying too, because if you Google and look at how long it's going to take to cook my 20-pound turkey, they're going to tell you to average 30 minutes per pound. And that might be long, especially if you're cooking on an egg or something efficient. A lot of folks, I'm sure, on this call have pellet-fed smokers. Those are typically pretty efficient smokers as well. I wouldn't be scared to underestimate that a bit and start your turkey an hour or two after what that estimated time looks like. Sam will tell you I was sweating bullets. I am now, but I was sweating bullets earlier thinking that we weren't setting this up soon enough. So it's turned out great though. Everything's cooked to the perfect internal temp. So I was going to end with that fact. USDA is going to say cook that turkey breast meat to about 160, 165, and the thigh meat to 155. I haven't done a turkey where the breast meat was over 155 yet.
Right.
This one here, we were about 153 and nervous that we had undercooked it, and that breast meat is about as white and clean as it can look.
Perfect.
So don't worry about too many of those old rules. Go with what it looks like, and when you're ready to eat, pull it off and serve it up. Taylor, we're out of data to give on this topic. Is there anyone who wants to stick around?
They're interested in the demo, but since the video is a little choppy,
The choppy demo probably doesn't help.
After.
Yeah, sure.
Perfect.
Yeah, guys, that makes a ton of sense. So I'm going to stick with our original claim. First 5 meetings booked, $100 to spend at Creekstone Outdoors and getting your man card. At that point, Sam says he'll individually take demo after demo after demo. So once the 12,000 of you on today take those demos, we will be excited about what you have to say as far as feedback and what you think of the product. Until then, Steve, Sam, thank you very much for being here
Thank you,
and doing
James.
this with
Thanks,
us.
Steve.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, guys. See you soon.